Right. Evening, everyone. Let's see what this is about. Oh, gosh. And now on the other side, I've got students asking me for something I don't know about. Right, guys. So if we remember last week, we looked, or the week before, we looked at generic strategies, those generic strategies indicating to us how we intend to compete within a particular industry. And everything we do is geared around getting into the ring with our competitors and WWEing them out. So if we just go back to this, you will recall we had a glance at the different options in terms of those strategies. Oh, very clever. So when your lecturer starts and he's got the complete wrong slides open, you know that you guys have to ask for a new lecturer. Just remember this when you evaluate me. Doesn't know which slides to use, doesn't even know which semester he's in. Okay, how's it, Armand? How are you? Right, let's try that again. Oh my goodness me. Right, and that's where I wanted to be. So we will remember that we spoke about cost leadership, and everything in terms of cost leadership is about becoming more efficient and passing the savings on to your customers. We spoke about options that fit there. And then broad differentiation, that is about uniqueness, that is about stand out from the crowd. It is also allowing the different brands to charge more because they have got, it's a great strategy, Gaston. Charge more because you have got loyal customers and you can add some real bling to whatever you're selling. And then the best cost provider strategy. This strategy is allowed as a consequence of new technologies. So we know that there are several brands that provide great quality, provide really good uniqueness, and then provide value for money. And it appears that this has become the standard for a lot of brands where they realize that we want to still be aware of price sensitivity, but we also want to give someone something that is special and unique. In terms of a focused low cost strategy, so often this is for a small group of people who are often catch strapped and will make do with not having the perfect option. I think we spoke about, yeah, and I don't want to say the name again, the Bajaj. Sorry, that is so rude. And then we also looked at focus differentiation. That would be your Bugattis and your Ferraris. And I suppose in terms of the South African market, Volvo certainly fits into that. Right. So there are several others, and you guys will see that this is from the textbook itself. Yeah. So I actually have taken it out of the textbook. You can see where to find it in the textbook. So we've done the different strategies. The one thing that I want to spend time on, because we don't have a lot of time together, is that for each of the strategies, there will be a question on advantages and disadvantages. And I know we've discussed this already. Just remember, whenever you answer the question on advantages and disadvantages, you're answering it from the perspective of Porter's five forces. And you'll remember Porter's five forces from first semester. It's about existing competitors, it's about your customers, it's about substitutes, it is about your suppliers and the power that your suppliers have, and it is also about new entrants. So please just remember, whenever you see this question on advantages and disadvantages, in particular advantages, that you answer it from the perspective of the actual Porter Five Forces model. And then I know we've discussed all of those. The one that I want to spend a bit of time on is this one here, the integrated cost leadership differentiation strategies. And the reason I want to spend a bit of time on it is because we see so many brands now get into this particular way of competing. And it is that magic combination of providing really good quality, providing uniqueness, providing something that is special, but doing it for a value for money, from a value for money perspective. So in terms of that, I think very often we see how a highly competitive environment forces brands to combine the differentiation with the low cost. Whether you call it a best value strategy or whether you call it an integrated strategy, I really don't mind. And you'll find that most brands, or a significant number of brands, let me rather say that, tend to opt for this. Now, I know that in the exams, people don't often use this in the memo, but for me, in an exam, in an assignment, when you argue and provide support for your argument on the basis of extracts from the case study, I will mark it. I don't care too much. A lot of it could be answered with this integrated strategy. In terms of the integrated strategy, again, advantages. I think the first one, and remember Porter's five forces. Now, not all five forces are mentioned here, but the first one is that it's very difficult for all competitors to get into this particular ring. Because somehow you have to have the R&D and the technology that comes from differentiation, but you also have to have the magic ingredient that comes from the efficiency in terms of how you produce. And then also you'll see that you constantly become more efficient, reduce prices, but also increase the quality, and very, very strong for an organizational image. You can also look at that. Guys, just also to say that when we look at each of those options, this is a really nice summary for you when you actually study. Right, it gives you each of those options. The best cost provider is the value provider, the value advantage provider, whichever term you want to use, or the integrated strategy that is adopted. So if we look at low cost, yeah, broad market, efficiency, and passing those savings on to your customers. And generally, you provide good quality, but it's a no frills attached option. And then there is this constant search for efficiency, and then also the idea that you let people know that we are really good value for money. Now, you'll see I did share some I hate the word pre-reading, but if we look at these again, you'll see that each of these will fit into those. So the first three, where would they fit? Where would Alpha, Aston, and Audi fit? I think Audi would be different from Alpha and Aston. Yeah, definitely. Aston and Alpha would definitely focus differentiation. Very, very cool, Sandra. Then obviously Audi would definitely be differentiation, differentiation. Now, I don't know that Chev is still available in South Africa, but in South Africa, in that format, I would imagine that it's going to be focused differentiation. Right. What would Citroen be? Um, Cost focused. That to me, that one there is cost focused. Tunzi, what would Citroen be? For me, I think it's an integrated strategy. I don't know what you guys think. It's cost leadership combined with some of the bling, because the Citroens are, that's the challenge, Gaston. It is the fact that French parts are expensive, and comes from somebody with a French name. So we've got to trust whatever Gaston says. Oh, Katrina, don't worry about that. I'm not fussed about stuff like that. For me, this is cost focused. For me, this is best value, the integrated strategy. Any comment on my view of Citroen as integrated? It gives a lot of bling and it is good value for money. Right. Yeah. Any guesses where that goes? Any guesses where that goes? Obviously, it is focus differentiation. And you can see some of these. Forward, where would we put forward? Oh, without a doubt, focus differentiation. For me, forward is value for money. So for me, it's an integrated strategy. And you can see some of the others here. I tried to run through some of them again there. I think that's focus differentiation. Some people who work for government and get big allowances will tell you that it is differentiation, but for me, that's focus differentiation. Obviously, some of the other focus differentiations there. Mahindra, where would we put Mahindra? Mahindra, would it be fair to say that it's cost leadership, value for money, cost leadership? Absolutely. Yeah, we know where Maserati and those would go. Mazda, value for money, without a doubt. Value for me, Mazda is value for money, guys. And then the rest of these. Okay, I don't think they make those anymore, but obviously people still insure them and so forth. Right. So each of these will describe one of those or more than one of those. Broad differentiation, uniqueness, broad market share. Best value, the idea of uniqueness and cost, and then focused low cost. This would be for people that are really on a tight budget that might want a new vehicle and is quite prepared to sacrifice a lot. Guys, and then focus differentiation. We've seen some examples of it. Right. I want to get to this today and have a glance at evaluating strategies. What I am going to tell you now is almost a guarantee. Tesla would be focused differentiation, without a single shadow of a doubt. Okay. Guys, I will accept if it's focused differentiation and you write differentiation, as long as you can argue strongly that it's differentiation. I will find marks, I will give you marks. One of the things that I promise you in your first assignment, someone will mess this up. I think in the first assignment, they ask you to evaluate the strategy, and people will often just evaluate it from their own perspective, some sort of, yeah, no, it works because they've sold a lot, and grab a bit of an extract out of the scenario. When people ask you to evaluate strategies, those are the criteria that you would evaluate. Yeah, and those are the criteria that you would use to evaluate strategies. If you write anything else, guys, we're going to have a problem because I then have to start searching for marks. And I absolutely try and find marks for my students. But, sometimes if there is a shower of not the right word to use, a shower of rubbish. I nearly wanted to say an SOS, but if there's a shower of rubbish, an SOR, it's very difficult to mark. And it happens when people, with this question in particular, mess it up. So if we look at the consideration, ask Aston, he's been with me before. Right. So, guys, in terms of the criteria, we want appropriateness, feasibility, desirability, and the others. Right. So let's look at each of those. The first one is appropriateness. And often when we look at appropriateness, is that this particular strategy suits the organization in terms of its internal capabilities and what people want in the external environment. So the idea is that inside outside perspective that you would have done in first semester. And really, does this strategy fit what makes us special? Does it anticipate changes in the environment? And does it allow us to maximize those things that give us a competitive advantage? And would it actually have some sort of fit with what our stakeholders want? Now, that leads me to including that. What's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? and I stole this specific one because I wanted that. I think it lasted how long? 2 years? What is wrong with that? Does anyone here own one? Why would I use that as a description of the opposite of the first criterion, being suitable? Only seen a few? Why didn't it make sense for Mercedes? If we look at each of those, did they use their own strategic capabilities? It's a Nissan. Thanks, Liam. Well done. All it is, it's a Nissan. A Nissan is just a Datsun, okay? A Nissan. All it was is a Nissan, and they just stuck their own body onto it. It didn't fit their stakeholder expectations. It made no sense for a luxurious brand to offer this overpriced bucky because it really is just still a bucky. So when we, yeah, that's exactly it, Sandra. I can't describe it better. Um, true, that's true, Gaston. More VW than Ford. So, from a suitability appropriateness perspective, this didn't make sense. So, if we look at evaluating it in terms of those specific sub elements in that criterion, we already know that this might not work. Guys, please, when you answer the question on appropriateness, please only use that slide. The way that we determine appropriateness is through a SWOT matrix. Now, a SWOT matrix, all it really is, and I'll go there, is where you list your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats, and you see how those intersect to create strategies. Generally, when we create strategies that maximize strengths and opportunities and counteract threats and weaknesses. I do not want you to show me how you've done a SWOT and this is why the Mercedes doesn't work. Please, please, the only one I want in the answer, both in the exam as well as the assignment, is that one there. The way we determine it through these kinds of I suppose tools. Guys, the same thing in terms of a decision tree. What a decision tree does, it gives you alternatives, and you then, on the basis of those alternatives, ask a series of questions to determine whether you should opt for a particular brand in this instance or an adjustment to your brand. And certainly, if we think of that, should we launch a bucky, it should have been no, no, no. And there is another one. Yeah, guys, and then scenarios, what if? And again, what if Mercedes had said to themselves, if we launch a I'm so sorry guys about the quants. If we launch the Mercedes, what is the likely customer reaction to be? And certainly it would have been the opposite. The second one that we use as a criterion. No, Katerina. No, Katerina. No. Okay. I just need you to discuss, unless it asks you to do a SWOT analysis, but I'm very sure it doesn't. I don't want to see anything from those slides. All I want is that slide there, that guy there. Okay. Then the second slide that I want you to use is this one. The only time you do a SWOT analysis if they ask you to do a SWOT analysis. Guys, the second one is feasibility. Here we ask ourselves, have we got the finance and the resources available? No problem, Katharina. Have we got the finance and resources available? Yes, Mercedes would have the finance available. The resources, well, they didn't because they went to Nissan to get the resources. And then it really is that question that stands out for me. Are we meeting industry and customer demands? Yes, we know that there's a demand for buckies, but is there a demand for buckies from Mercedes? It doesn't make sense. And then will it give us a competitive advantage? And the truth is, it's unlikely to give us a competitive advantage. Let's be honest, guys. And you can see there, will it give us a chance to achieve our strategic objectives? I seriously doubt it. The second one, can we implement it? It didn't make sense because we couldn't do it because people didn't buy it, and it was a clear indication that it was going to be a flop. And again, we've answered that question. So, again, to go back to what must be one of the most unattractive buckies ever. The truth is, and that's it, Nate, but also if your Mercedes customer wants to buy a Bucky, they're going to buy a Ford or they're going to buy a Toyota. They're not going to look for a Mercedes Bucky. It didn't work. It didn't work whatsoever. And the scary thing is, it launched and people were already saying, this isn't working. We need to get rid of it. And it is simply just a Navara. We need to remember that. The next one is desirability. Guys, I think here, will it give us short and long-term results based on what we stand for? Mercedes stands for uniqueness, stand out from the crowd. And yes, they sold the Nissan or the whatever they called that vehicle as being engineered to Mercedes standards. I don't know what it means to. Exactly, Nate. It stands for luxury. And engineering this to Mercedes standards, really and truly, what are we tightening the bolts a bit extra? Are we giving a little bit of extra oomph in terms of the injectors? It didn't make sense. And again, I think Mercedes saw a lucrative market, but it wasn't a market where they belonged. And then, as I said, it flopped very, very, very big time. Guys, and then also you have to consider, is it risky? Is the timing right? And will it expose us to vulnerabilities? And it very, very clearly did. The next criterion there is consistency, guys. And then, yeah, does this fit in with our strategic intent and the long term objectives of the organization? Well, I think that's exactly it. I really think that's it. It's somebody that doesn't understand the real world, Gaston. I want to quickly just share this Sadie's vision. Sorry, I should have opened this beforehand. Where is that? Where is Mercedes? I'm trying to confine. Someone find the vision statement for me very quickly. Okay. Where is that? Oh gosh, let's just accept all. Anyone find the vision for me? Well, if you look at that, there, we built the world's most desirable cars. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Twinsie. We build the world's most desirable cars. Truthfully, who here sits and desires that? Exactly, Nate. Is that fit in with that vision statement, guys, or that goal? We will build, my apologies, the world's most desirable cars. It doesn't. It makes no sense. It really doesn't make sense. Can I just ask, would you buy one of these now and why? Why would you consider buying one now? Would be the one reason we would buy one now. Would that be enough of a reason? You're getting Mercedes for 439, 469, 539. Oh my gosh. And it gets, 389 status only. I think, yeah, I thought they were a lot cheaper actually. I suppose it's not a bad price. Um, but I suppose if you can get it cheap, you have got something that's reasonably good. But it doesn't make sense as a Mercedes, guys. And then validity. This is, yeah, what where Gaston said it's an office jock not really knowing, a desk jockey not knowing what's going on. When we look at validity, this specific criterion refers to the fact that we base our strategies on hard facts, on statistics, on numbers that are predetermined. So generally, we would interact with customers, we would interact with potential customers, we would spend a significant amount of time in terms of our feasibility study. And when we mean validity or say validity, we've actually based this on real numbers and real stats. I don't know where they got the numbers and stats from. Okay, maybe the guy was playing Scrabble one night and he threw three sixes in a row and he thought, okay, this is it. And I know you don't have a dice in Scrabble, it just shows you the confusion before anyone types here. Okay, guys, and then attractiveness to stakeholders. Do you think that was attractive to the average Mercedes-Benz driver? Oh my gosh. Is that attractive? I don't think it worked, guys. I really didn't think it worked. And it was 2 years. 2 years and it was gone. What is the interior? I've never even seen the interior, to be honest with you. Never ever seen the interior. I wouldn't have looked at it. I really wouldn't have looked at it. I really wouldn't have looked at it. Okay, guys, and then the last one there, please let me find the right set of slides. Okay, I'm going to quickly have a glance. Say thanks so much, but let's see what opens. Guys, and then, yeah, is it something that will give us a long-term sustainable competitive advantage? And also remember, we said in the first semester that the modern definition of competitive advantage and sustainability would be wealth creation for stakeholders. I don't think that created wealth. I'll have a glance at that when I get a second. Guys, and then, yeah, sorry, validity and attractiveness to stakeholders. I think sometimes it's important to remember that there are a number of ways of making money. And I think what Mercedes thought is that this would have been a quick buck. I mean, it's tantamount. As a class, if we want to make some money, we could all go to K-Way, and then after that, we can go to Total Sports. At K-Way, we would buy ourselves some nice warm clothes. At Total Sports, we would get ourselves some baseball bats and then we'll dress warmly. We'll take our baseball bats. Oh, and we need knives as well. And then we'll hire a ship. We'll go to the Southern Oceans and we'll club baby seals to death. It's an easy way of making money, but is it the right thing to do? Obviously, it's the wrong thing to do. So don't think, Gaston, now I'm going to make some quick cash. It's the same thing. Was this the right thing to do? And I'm so sorry about the graphic example, but the truth is that people do that. But is it the right thing to do? Okay. Guys, you can have a glance at your VC Learn activities. Remember, I've already uploaded the ICE tasks as well. Any questions, any comments at this